So welcome, my name is Beverly Cease. I'm the director of the winter shelter. I was the director last year. Prior to that, Ms. Judy Alexander, who is back by the door, was the director for the first 4 years. So we're in year number 6 doing this for the city. And HART is really glad to be able to provide that for folks in the winter overnight, an overnight warm place to eat, just relax, take a shower. We have laundry sometimes. And just have people care for them, because that doesn't happen a lot in their day. And so thank you for coming along with that with us. So we're going to cover everything tonight. We're going to sort of walk through an evening. We're going to do intake with greeter, hospitality, interviewer. We're going to do pod storage. We're going to do drivers. We're going to do welcome team, and we're going to do morning team. And then we'll do a little supply transport if anybody's here for that. So we're going to step through pretty quickly. I'm going to start with some general things. Y'all use Sign Up Genius to sign up, right? And I would just really recommend on your Sign Up Genius tab for whatever job or jobs you've signed up for, you will see there's a link to a document with your instructions. So I'd really recommend you download those and read them, because tonight we're not going to go through every line. And so with this, you'll have all the details. Also on Sign Up Genius, there is a resources tab where we'll have this recording up there. We have some other hopefully helpful documents for you. One on boundaries, one on how best to talk with someone who's agitated, because sometimes that occurs, and there's a lot we can do to just kind of chill things out and listen and that kind of thing. So look there on the resources tab for some of that to appear in the next week or so. I wanted to, yes, and also on there, you'll see a phone number for the person, for the team lead for that particular job. If you have any questions about the job, that's the person to call. And you'll meet some of them tonight as they come up and explain their piece of it. But anyway, they're all on there, so that's a good resource person. I wanted just to let you know who the leaders are. So not all of them are here, but the night captains, each night of the week, we have 7 nights, we have a night captain. That person is your key person. I would definitely have their number in your phone. If you have any questions, they're your person. If something happens and you are having trouble finding a sub, they're your person. They'll want to know. So if you're here, if you would just like wave. So Sunday night's night captain. Okay. Sunday night and then Monday morning, because for us our days go from the evening to the next morning. So Sunday night, Monday morning is Judy Alexander. It's Judy. If you're on Monday or Tuesday morning, Lynn LePage and Jana LePage. I know Lynn is here. There's Lynn. Thank you. Tuesday is Donna Hawkyard. Didn't see her. Wednesday is Krita Adams. There's Krita. Thursday is Phyllis Bolden. Phyllis. Friday is Jessica Lang. And Saturday is Sandy Starch. And these are the people, they are overall in charge of the team and the night, during the night. So they're the key person for you. When we start the season, before we start the season, I will send you by email this handy dandy roster of everybody. It tells you who's leading the different jobs, and also each day's people. Phone number, email, and name. So it's a handy sheet that you'll also want to have. Subs. If you can sign up as a sub, that would be great. There's a tab for subs, and you can specify which jobs you can sub. The more subs we have, the more options there are for all of you if you need a sub to find someone. Because we try and have you take care of finding a sub if you can't be there for the weekend. Not too much comes up at the last second. So if you possibly can, please sign up as a sub. And yes, so if you're looking for a sub, I would look for people who do your job on another night and see if they could cover for you, or look at the sub list. Those are kind of the easiest places to find somebody. Locations. We will be intake. If you're working at intake, that would be the greeter, hospitality, and interviewer at intake, along with the storage pod along with the drivers on that end of it, you will be at Lower Rodeo Park. So if you go to the library and go down the hill on the right, you'll see it. I'd recommend if you're going to work there that you just drive by there and kind of see what it looks like before we start. One thing to note is that we noted when it rained last weekend really hard that water goes through there. So we're going to try and mitigate with sandbags as much as we can. But I would recommend if it's been raining that you wear boots or something suitable for a huddle. And also we are kind of indoor-outdoor. There'll be a tent, like a carport type tent for the interviewers. But we're mostly outdoors, so appropriate clothing, wear a jacket and a toque or hat and gloves and whatever to be comfortable for that hour and a bit. The shelter itself, if you're working welcome team or morning team or the other end of the driver job, you will be, the shelter itself moves around. So we transport people from the intake site down at Rodeo Park to wherever the shelter is at that week. The first 3 weeks, and why we wanted to be here tonight, is that this is where we are for the first 3 weeks. So we kind of set up over there, that's our space, and we're there. So it's important. I will also, when I send you the roster, I will also send you the calendar, and it'll tell you where we are every week and with an address. So for me, I would probably put each one down and where it is each week, because it's a bummer when you come and nobody's there, and it's a bummer when we're expecting you at another spot and you're not there. And so yes, just be aware of that. We do move around after that first 3 weeks. Inventory, as I like to say, you're our eyes on supplies. So our supply managers aren't here tonight, but Jenny Montezeri, you'll see her number and her email and her name on all the supply bins. And Yetta Shears are our supply people. So, but they come in once a week and do inventory, and you just don't know how fast things are necessarily going. So if you are using something and it looks like there's not very many of them left, please, her name's on the bins, please text her. So I might put her number in in your phone as well to be able to do that. You can always tell your night captain, because they will, can do that too, but you can just text her. And I think that's all that I had. We're on track. So the first place that we are is intake, and I would like to, Jessica Zhu is our intake supervisor, so she's going to run through the intake jobs. But is anybody here an interviewer? Because I want to be sure that you have the guest intake form. You did it. Anybody else? So as Jessica comes up, I will hand these out because I think it would be really helpful to look at it as she talks about it.
Are all the interviewer spots filled? Because I usually do interview
I think so, but you want to, which one is the sub list? Yeah, the sub list.
Okay, good evening, everyone. So first of all, can I know how many people here are intake people? Oh, quite a lot, huh?
And a little louder for those of us in the back.
Okay, try to be louder. All right, so I'm going to go over with where, when, what, and how. And I would like to have everyone, if you have questions, just leave it at the end, because I might address your question next second. Okay. I'm going to start with where, so you know the address that Bev already mentioned. But I want to say is this is the outdoor, and then if you drive down street there, you will see at your right hand side there's a ticket booth. So that's where we are. And also they have tent set up, so it will keep us dry, but the temperature we all know now it's rainy season, so that's the where. And for the when, we all know we start from January 8th, but I want to talk about we start at 5 o'clock every day. So our guests are very on time. And you will see them probably waiting there when you are there by 5. They probably already lined up. So please come on time.
You guys run.
Yeah, we end at Okay, so we probably want to come 15 minutes early to just start to have the pins, everything, the little pins and everything set up for our desk, please. And I also want to mention that we don't move. The shuttle will move each week or every other week, but we don't. We stay there every week. So that's a good thing. So last week I have somebody email me, where are we going next week? No, we stay there all the time. Okay, that's my where and when. Next, I'm going to talk about what. So we have 3 roles in intake. We have the greeter, we have the hospitality, and we have the interviewer. So I'm going to quickly go over for the greeter and the hospitality, but I will probably spend a little more time on the interviewer. So for the greeter, you will be the first one just to greet the people, our guests. You will have a little tablet here. Yeah, so you will use that to register our guests. It will go over, it will have some questions you will go over with it, like some COVID questions, something like that. But for that, we're going to have another training session, which will be the first week of January. So please stay tuned. We're going to let you know that we are going to have someone to just go over with you step by step what's to expect. Okay. And for the interviewer, once you are done, please just direct our guest to the storage pod. The storage pod will be set like inside of the fence. You will see it. You won't miss it. And then after the guests come out, also please, if you can just remind them, they need to go through the interview for sure. Every guest needs to go through the interview. And then I'm going to talk about the hospitality. Hospitality people, it's relatively simple. You just provide the guests with hot drinks, like coffee, tea, cocoa, things like that. I mean, by this weather, probably it will be very, very popular. So we have, I think we have water will be provided there. And then there's a little machine there, a little coffee maker there. But the first week I will be there. And then we can go through if there's any like problem, technical issue, we will figure it out. And then I'm going to go through the interviewer. So the interviewer all have this with you, right? So I'm not going to go through all of the pages, but just some main item that we think it's probably need a little more attention. On the first page, you will have you go over with the guest's name and their email, whatever, phone number, of course. So, but for this item, how long have you been in Folsom? Please, if they tell you that they've been under 2 months, less than 2 months, please ask them how many days, how many weeks, because we just want to know that our main purpose is to save our Folsom community. Please write it down if they tell you they only been here for 2 days. Okay, so next question is where have you been staying in the past 6 months? You just check. Okay, next page. So ask them for about any life event. I mean, if they tell you anything addition to this thing like we listed, please just write it down. On the open space, you have a lot of them. I mean, if they are willing to talk, we are really more than welcome. We're just going to jot down and then to see if we can know our guests better. And next are the medical information. Just go over with them. To save your time, mostly we just ask you to just check. And if there's any allergy, go through that. So for the page 4 and 5, so that's where we just want everyone to use that for every day. I have to mention that for the guests, if they come for the first time in the season, you have to go through all of this from page 1 to 5, and also for the first page, you want to put their photo here. We have a photo little camera there, and sometimes the camera probably will have a little problem, but just let the night captain or me know, we can just help. And talking about this, I think the first week probably for interviewer is the most challenging time, because every guest pretty much are new. And we start at 5 sharp, and then our boss probably will be there waiting for the guests 5:45, around that. So you have only 45 minutes. If you have 9 guests, each of the guests you get only 5 minutes. So it could be a little bit demanding, but you can ask our night captain or Beth or me if you need to help, especially for take photo, we can help you. Even the hospitality person, if they are willing, just ask them to take the photo. That will save you a lot of time. Okay, so when the guests are second time come, you don't have to go through their names, those stuff, of course. So you can directly come to this page, which is page 4. And then ask them to go through these questions. This question each time we need to repeat. Like, do they have a weapon? If they do, hopefully not. But if they do, they need to put it in the storage pot. They are not allowed to take it with them. And ask them if they are interested with any of the meeting, like AA and A. If they do, please, we can refer them. A lot of churches have this kind of information. And ask for them if they have any health issue, anything changed, any life events. And then for each question, just do a check or note down on here. All right, for another thing I want to mention that our volunteer position pretty much is each person have their own position and responsibility. If for some reason that day you can't make it, if you can let us know early, that would be really appreciated. But if there's something pop up, really you just realize, in 1 hour I have to start my position, but I can't make it, then please drop us a line. Like you can email Beth and the net captain and me, so that we can know to just get some coverage. That's really important. But if you know ahead of time, we really highly encourage you to just send an email out to the team. Beth's going to send out all of the roster, and then I'm going to filter out only our team, the intake team, and then have their phone number, email address there. Then you can email our team to say if there's anybody can cover you. That's the best way. If you can do that, I think we have how many people? At least we will probably find 1 or 2. But also we have the backup people. I will include the backup people there, everybody in the list, so that we will be on the list. And also on the weekly basis, if there's any significant event like our COVID protocol change, then something like that, I will email you. I will let you guys know. Other than that, I don't want to just send email every day with not significant, not big issues. So I won't bother you, hopefully. I guess that's it. Any question? Yes?
On the group meetings, is it if they are going or if they would like to go?
If they would like to go, if they are interested.
Okay.
Like these questions for repeat nights, will they be written out on the sheet and we can just read out the verbiage so we're consistent from night to night?
When they come back, these 2 pages have every night of the shelter
Right.
on them. So you'll just ask them, well, obviously they're there, right? Attendance. So you just make your question. Do you have any weapons with you tonight?
But like the question, do you have any weapons? Are you going to a group meeting? Or would that be on a sheet like you have at the
No,
record?
we're trying to be concise.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
so there's just these kind of triggers. And I just wanted to add one thing, which is, so a check means that you asked that question, right? If they tell you things, that notes section, which we've always had on the back, and we'll add pages to it, you just put the date and then whatever it is that they told you. There's a life event, it's their birthday, or they got a job, or they're feeling whatever today. But yeah, those are just little like cue cards, sort of. Okay?
All right. Any other questions?
What if you suspect that they may not have they have weapons? And what constitutes a weapon?
Well, like knife, guns. If they say no, we have to trust them.
That,
Yeah.
I'll get into this for podcast in a second.
All right. Thank you.
So you were asking about that. Do we have any pod monitors? We do. Ah, Cece didn't think we had any there, but you've done it before. But I'm just going to briefly go through the pod. So all of our guests, when they come, they check in with the greeter, right, who has a tablet to log them in. And then they're told to go to the pod. And they may have a backpack, they could have a bike, they could have a trailer, all kinds of things. But this is what they take to the shelter with them, a clear plastic bag. And no backpacks inside the plastic bag. We do have Ziplocs in the pod if they have things that they want to decant into something. So, and this is purposeful so that we can see what's in there. I'd say as far as weapons go, about the only thing people have had really is a knife.
Sometimes they have
They
scissors.
just,
Sometimes they have
and
scissors.
scissors, yeah. So those kinds of things, they could also have, they could have a pot with them, they could have whatever. As long as it stays in the pod, they can't take it to the shelter with them. As long as it stays in the pod and they can handle. The thing that we're really doing at intake is assessing that they're ready to spend the night inside in structure with other people and can follow instructions. So that's largely what the interviewers and everybody who's around at intake is just kind of checking out, getting to know where people are at that day. So, so the storage pod is where we keep everything overnight. So if you're a pod person at night, you'll be there with the rest of the intake team from 4:45 until 6 o'clock. If you're a pod person in the morning, are you doing morning, Jessica? No. Afternoon, okay. But just so we know, in the morning, you're the person there at the pod as the guests come from the shelter to pick up their stuff for the day. And they pick up their stuff, in case you sub for that, you know. They pick up their things and they go about their day, and then you lock up the pod till the next evening. And if you're a pod person on a weekday morning, you swing by the shelter on your way and grab the football. This is our football. Is that right? Yeah, the pod person picks it up too. Drivers pick it up on the weekend. And it has a couple binders in it. One binder is the current night's guests, their information, their guest intake form stuff. And then we have a history binder with people who aren't there that night but have been there. And it's confidential information, so this has a code on it, and we take good care of it because it is their confidential information on there. So that's the pod. Gary, are you going to talk about drivers?
Yes.
This is Gary Cease. He is the driver supervisor.
Yes. I wear a lot of hats. My name is Gary Cease. I'm the other half of the Bev and Gary thing. We are real big on safety. We've got the interview process that goes on. We've got all of those things. Usually first of all, we've had very few problems over the years that we've been involved doing this. Any problems we have, we've been able to resolve very quickly and all the rest of that. Your safety as drivers is very important. So there are driver tags. On the back of those will have night captain numbers, my number, Bev's number, I believe police not emergency, but if things get crazy and all the rest of it, the easiest thing to do is to pull the van over, get out, call me, call 911, call the night captain.
No
If-
one's ever had to do that.
Yeah, we've never had to do that. If you have picked someone up from intake and they become disruptive, you have the right to turn around, take them back to intake and say, I don't, and then you talk to the night captain. So that's kind of how we handle those issues. That being said, we operate two, not three, two vans. One is our van, which will be parked near the library, near intake. That holds 4 people. We also use the Hampton van, which is Hampton Inn is down by East Bidwell and In-N-Out Burger. It takes about 15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes to get from there to intake. So you want to allow some time. In the evening, you want to pick it up around 5 o'clock so that you can be on site about 5:30. 5:20, I'm sorry. We leave at 5:30 in the evening. Usually the Hampton van will leave first. It holds 6 people. Sometimes we don't need both vans depending on what our census is. So we will usually use the Hampton van. They provide gas for us and all that, which is very generous of them. If you're doing it in the morning, you will need to pick up the football and bring it with you to the pod from the shelter. So when you pick up a load of guests, make sure that you have the football with you and give that to them. At either end, well, at the end when you have dropped off guests, do a quick look in the van. Make sure that there's nobody left inside for your own safety, for their safety, and all the rest of that. I think that pretty much covers everything. Do you think of anything else? Yeah, I will be in touch with you. There will be maps, or we will get you some kind of map so that you know where you're going to drop people off, because the churches do change and things like that. And I will be in touch with you generally the night before, either by text. I prefer text because that's easier for me, but I can do email either way. Just to let you know what our census is and whether or not we need both drivers or just one driver. So, any questions? Very good.
Okay, so our guests have now, so during the week, just so you know, the drivers are only on the weekends, Saturday and Sunday. Monday through Friday, our transportation is provided by SAC RT. They're very kind and have a bus for us. So the timing on the bus pickup is a little more variable during the week because of just how they operate. But we're thankful to have that. So drivers are just on the weekends. So we got the drivers. So our guests have, however, they've gotten there because some of our guests will have cars. Some, if they're working, might be coming later on a bike or whatever. But generally, they're either on the bus, van, or they're driving their own car. So they arrive here, and who is anybody on welcome team? Mr. Knight? Yeah. Yay. Okay. So welcome team. Welcome team. When the shift is from 5 to 8, and it's really fun because the guests are here. We have dinner. There's just lots of time to interact with them, and you're the host for them for many things. You'll arrive here at 5. There will be at this church there will be a key box out on the fence out there. If you've done it before, you know the key box, and that's how you'll get in. At 5 o'clock as well, the host leader should be here and the host greeter. So when you're here on welcome team and we're gonna have dinner and everything, the host group provides a lead, a greeter, people for dinner to bring dinner and serve dinner, shower if we have it, which we will have it here, laundry, someone to do laundry for them, and then people to stay overnight. So there's another crew here besides the 2 welcome team people and the night captain here. So you'll get here at 5, and the greeter and the post lead should be here about that time, and you start getting ready for the guests to come. At intake, the greeter had a tablet. Well, you're going to have a tablet too. So the tablet training during that first week of January, you'll want to be at, because we'll go through your part of the app. So you will be able to see when people get checked in at intake. You'll be able to see who's coming, which is very helpful. And you will see who's coming, and you will get ready for them. Some of the guests will already have a sleeping bag assigned to them. These are sleeping bags. Green bag with the sleeping bag and pillow in it. Dave and Irene Call are our sleeping bag and cot people, so you'll see them around sometimes. They'll be on your roster if you have any questions for them about sleeping bags or cots. So you're there, and you'll see who's getting checked in. Some people already have a sleeping bag assigned, others won't. But you will be making each person a name tag, and they've discovered that it's nice to put the sleeping bag number on there with their name. And you will be putting their name on the guest list, which is new this year if you've done it before. We didn't used to have this. But this is a guest list where you'll also put everybody's name, their gender, how they're getting here by car or by bus. And then there's a notes column. Because the overnight people who come, we could have guests who haven't really been awake, and they won't see them until maybe the middle of the night if they're up or something, or the morning. And the morning team comes in the morning, and it's really helpful for them to know who's here. Sometimes they come in, they're like, how many women, how many men? Well, now we'll track that for them. So that'll be on your welcome team table. The welcome team table, by the way, is always like right near the door. So you're the place that people stop first when they're coming in. So you're getting these things as guests arrive at intake. You'll find out who they are, and you'll fill these out. You are sleeping bags. I'll just talk briefly. Dave, correct if I have anything wrong. So this is a sleeping bag. It has nothing on it except its number. This is sleeping bag number 5, okay? When you assign a sleeping bag to someone, you will assign it on the tablet, okay? The app will lead you through how to do that. You'll assign it on the tablet so that we know it's in use, and you will put a yellow tag on the ring so that visually we can tell that this sleeping bag is in use by somebody. It's no longer clean and fresh, okay? So you'll do that. Dave and Irene will, I don't know, do you email the welcome team which bags to pull because they're dirty?
That's what we did last year.
Okay, so if you get an email from them saying pull bag number 5 and 10 and 15 or whatever, then you'll go pull those. They might be out on cots. They probably will be out on cots. And you'll pull those and put a black clip on it. When a bag has a yellow tag and a black clip on it, that means no one's using it anymore, and it goes into like the dirty bag pile. Okay? Very important that we have that visual indicator so that we know what we're talking. So you're there and you're assigning sleeping bags, and you may be taking some cots that had a sleeping bag on it, but that person isn't here tonight. So you'll take that one off and stuff it in his green bag and wipe it down with a wipe and put a new sleeping bag on top. So you'll be doing that. The greeter is also there to help. So just depending on how many new people, how much work there is to do, there's at least 3 of you to do that. The greeter is also setting up the dining room area for eating. So people who come, so the guests come and you give them their name tag. You also at the welcome team desk will have some drawers. You have some drawers and some bins. The drawers have over-the-counter medications in them. It has, what do you call those things, earplugs, just different things that are helpful. So at some point you want to kind of look and just see what you've got there, because people will come to you going, I need some Kleenexes, or I need whatever, I'm feeling a tickle in my throat, I need a cough lozenge or whatever. So you have that there. Guests do not get their own stuff out of there, so it's up there for you to give to them. If you give someone something like medication, please write it on their guest intake form so that we know that you gave it to them. In case anything were to occur, we know what we've given. We also this year's going to be a little bit different. We're going to have a couple bins at the welcome table, one for women's sweatpants and tops, one for men's sweatpants and tops. Last year we kind of were giving out so many clothes, I'm afraid some of them were probably ending up in trash bins or something. So we're going to have a log sheet in the bin where you write down, I gave Susie a pair of medium pants and a large top or whatever, so that we can kind of track. And our thought is maybe once a month we would give one to one person. If they forget it, because it's basically they need a change of clothes, perhaps if they're getting their clothes washed. Yeah. So we will try at intake to remind them to bring extra clothes if they're getting laundry done. But otherwise you can always say, well, then you'll need to wait till tomorrow night when you bring something, and then do laundry. So that's the purpose of that change. Everybody comes by you, including any host volunteers. There is a binder on your table that says Shelter Site Binder. All of the host volunteers, will sign in there. Anybody who's not a HART volunteer, actually, will sign in the Shelter Site Binder. And host volunteers, if they didn't sign up on Sign Up Genius, and it's their first time in the season, they need to sign a waiver, a COVID waiver and a code of conduct. So that's there for you on the table. That's pretty much on there. So, also, people are driving, right? So they've got their plastic bag that we give them at intake, right? But then they're in their car, so you need to check their plastic bag when they get here, if they came by car. And you'll know they came by car because it'll be on the tablet in the app. So please, when people come by car, please check their bag again at the desk when they come in. We just want to keep everybody safe. What else? Oh, inventory. Again, you're our eyes on supplies. So, as you've got inventory out there, you've got some over-the-counter meds and all that kind of thing, pens, Post-its, all kinds of those things. If you see they're getting low, please text Jenny Montessori, whose number will be on the bins. So all the guests are here, you're helping them, they're using the bathroom, they're starting showers, all that kind of stuff. Then it's time for dinner, which is about 6:15. And we do two things before we have dinner. We will have a piece of paper with announcements on it. It's pretty much reminders for the guests of what the rules are overnight, smoke breaks, all that kind of thing. And then we also say a prayer and give thanks for the meal and the people who made the meal. So oftentimes it's welcome team who does that. Sometimes the host lead will want to do the prayer before dinner, which is just fine. We just keep the prayer short and simple, just thanking God for just getting to be inside where it's nice and cozy and being together and having this delicious food and that kind of thing. So you will have that. We do have some guests come and they will need name tags. Right, I use guests on emphasis for visitors. So guests always have white name tags, and everybody else has bright orange or bright green. So the housing navigator will come once a week, and so you'll be sure that she gets a name tag at the desk when she comes in. And our mentor director will come in, and he needs a tag. So you're kind of the name tag. Everybody comes by you on their way in. So I think that's about it for welcome team. It goes from 5 to 8. At 7:45, the overnighters come in, and so sometime in that next bit of time they'll be getting oriented, and then you're off duty. Okay, any questions on welcome team? Okay. Some of you have done it before. You know the game. Okay. I wanted to hit dinner delivery. Are there any dinner delivery folks here? Because 4 nights a week, and welcome team if you want to know this, Monday through Thursday, we have, and Jessica Hodge is our dinner delivery supervisor, restaurant liaison, I think is what we call you, right? Restaurant liaison. And so some very kind restaurants in Folsom have donated meals for us. So we have someone who comes in, who goes and picks it up at the restaurant and brings it here. So those people will be coming as well while you're here. And welcome team, we feed our guests first, but there's generally enough food for the volunteers helping, so you're very welcome to sit down and have dinner, just enjoy the company of everyone. The one thing is though, the welcome desk is sort of a hub area, and one of you needs to have their eye on the desk and what's happening in the lobby. The bathrooms are out there, the doors are there, so you just need to be sure you're covered for keeping an eye on everybody out there. Okay? Okay, so the night goes by, the overnighters are here, yada yada. 6:45 in the morning, morning team comes. So Kristen Margetts is our morning team supervisor. So she's going to talk about what morning team is doing.
Hi, I'm Kristen. Are there any morning team? Couple, 3, okay. Okay, well, I'm glad you're here. Thank you for doing the morning team. So morning team shows up at 6:45 and we are basically taking over, letting the overnighters go home. So as soon as we all 3 are here, the overnighters will finish up what they need to do and they'll head out, and we will be in charge of making sure all the guests get awake and get on the bus and everything gets locked up after it's all cleaned. So that's kind of what you can't hear me still? Okay. So as soon as we arrive, we just, there's a little thing we have to check our name off in the football, right? And in the master binder, we check our name that we were here and get our name tag on, and then usually we kind of split up in our duties. So one will kind of hang out in the lobby right by the welcome desk to kind of keep an eye on the bathrooms and on the door, the outside doors. And then two of us will be in here kind of helping with the breakfast items. We get all the breakfast out, serve it, usually they can kind of help themselves to whatever breakfast items we have. And we also have bags that they can put some of the food in to take with them for the day. And so we're kind of just split up in these different areas just to kind of know where everyone is. We have to make sure that everybody is waking up and getting ready and packing all their stuff. Make sure that the guests all take everything. The only thing that should be left on the cots is the sleeping bag and the pillow. And there's a chair usually right next to it. So those are all that should be left in the sleeping area. They should take everything with them. At 7:20, that's when our transport is expected to arrive. So the person who's kind of watching the front door can kind of keep an eye out there for the SAC RT on the weekdays, and then the van driver, the HART van driver on the weekends. And the SAC RT, actually both vans are just outside and to the left here in this other parking lot over here. So just kind of keep an eye and so that we know when they're here, and then we can invite the guests to get on board. That sheet that Bev was talking about that has the list of all the names on it is really important to kind of keep an eye on, making sure we know where everyone is and we don't leave with someone still in the bathroom or anything like that. So keep an eye, make sure we know exactly how many people are leaving by car, how many are getting on the bus, or if they've got a bike or something like that. So we just keep an eye on all of that as they're leaving. And just as a heads up, the SAC RT is supposed to be here about 7:20. Sometimes it's later, sometimes it's a little earlier. It varies. The van drivers are pretty much always here on time, a little early. So once everybody has gotten on the bus and left, then we just kind of do some cleaning around. So we will usually wipe off the tables and put all the breakfast items back in the kitchen area. We need to keep an eye on all the supplies that are used for the breakfast, like if we use plates or cups or whatever else is used, bags that we use to help them take their lunches and stuff. If anything's getting low, we just need to let Jenny Montessori know, and she will fill all that stuff up for us too. There's also toiletry items in the bathrooms, so when you're kind of wiping down the bathrooms and cleaning everything up in there, Just make sure that those are all stocked as well. And everything, all the bins that are labeled HART are clearly, I mean, it's clear that that's the HART stuff. There's a whole bunch of stuff, like in this church in the back, that is the church's stuff, and it's not labeled HART at all. So just look for our bins that are labeled clearly with HART for our stuff. I will be coming every week, the first week, to make sure that you guys all know what you're doing and are comfortable with it. And if, as you're going along each week, if you have a need for a substitute, it's great to actually send a message to all the other morning team people and say, hey, is there anyone that wants to trade with me? I can't make it. We only have one person on our sub list right now, and I have another sub in mind, if hopefully that I can get to sign up. But it's probably best to kind of reach out to me and to the other morning team people to see if there's someone that can swap with you if you know you're not going to be able to be there. And then whenever we move to a new site location, I usually come that first morning that we're there and kind of take notes of everything, like maybe where the vacuum's located, how do we lock up the building, what kinds of things do we need to do to make sure the building's all locked up and secure, and I'll send a message out to all the morning team people to let them know what kind of new things to expect with the new location. So I think that's it. Any questions?
What's the maximum capacity?
20. We can have 20, yes.
And do you usually have 20?
No. I think our average is about 11.
The other question I had, I didn't ask earlier, is what are they allowed to bring in the plastic bag? Is there a list of things that they're supposed to bring?
No, as far as what they bring with them, there's just things that they don't bring with them. But usually, I mean, it could be books, it's usually some electronic stuff, they, the phone and clothing,
Whatever they want.
washed.
Yeah.
Yeah, just their personal effects, stuff.
One thing I should mention, sometimes the clothes get washed but don't end up back out here for whatever reason. So if there is a guest that's asking, do you know where my clothes are? The laundry is all back there. Usually it ends up like the overnighters will get it all out and make sure it goes to the right people. But if there's someone that's asking, in this building anyway, for the first 3 weeks, the laundry is way kind of back in the back of the kitchen area. So, and you can text me anytime. Just have my number in your phone and text me if you have any questions about morning team duties. And usually we're done about 8:30-ish, somewhere in there. So, yeah.
For the people that are coming by car or bike, are they free to come and go as they please, or do they need to wait until that 7:20 mark for transportation?
They usually wait. I mean,
What's the question?
Are they allowed to just go when they want to go? Like if they want to leave at 7 instead of the 7:20 when everyone else is leaving? They can. Usually, if there's someone out there, they just come and say, is it okay for me to go? And
But
they
the
say,
pod
"Yeah."
won't be
But they
open.
can't come and go as they.
No, they can't come back. Once they
There's
leave.
no in and out.
Yeah.
Once they're out, they're out.
Yeah. So just make sure they have all their stuff. Any other questions?
Yeah, that's an important thing to note is that guests can leave during the night if they decide they're just not a night for them. And so that would usually be when the overnighters are here. But basically, they can go, they just can't come back in that night. They're totally welcome to come in again the next night. But we make sure they have all their stuff in. But yeah, especially people with cars. As a matter of fact, if you're on welcome team and someone wants to go out to their car, they need to be escorted by a volunteer. Could be a host volunteer, could be our volunteer. But yeah.
One thing I forgot to mention is if they do want a smoke break, we have to have a volunteer go out with them. So as long as you're okay and you're not needed inside, one volunteer can go out and hang out with the guests while they're having a smoke break too.
Yeah. Guests don't go outside the doors without a volunteer. And And I would say drivers aren't usually anxious to get out early in the morning. Generally, they're happy to sit and have coffee and stuff and all that before they go. But yeah, they could go. Are there any other questions?
Where does SACRT take them back to the rodeo park or?
Yes, yeah, SACRT and the drivers take them back to the pod. And there'll be a pod person there in the morning, get their stuff, and then they're off for the day. Well, thank you for being here. Thank you for serving these folks with us and making this all work. It takes all our little pieces to make it work for folks. So we do have some bookmarks. Do we have some bookmarks
There are some
out there? For people, if you see any homeless folks around town, if you have some of these, you can give it to them, let them know that it's starting on January 8th. It always takes a little bit, a week or two for word to get out, oh, the shelter has started. Anyway, so if you have a place to put those, or if you just want to take a few in case you meet up with somebody for whom it might be useful, feel free to do that. So thank you, bless you, enjoy the holiday. We'll see you on the other side of the holiday. You have our emails, you have my email. You soon will have your night captain and everybody else's, so if you have any questions or anything before we start up, feel free to do that, and we will do tablet training for greeters and welcome team that first week. I'm hoping like maybe Monday and Wednesday in that first week in January, and then we'll be all ready to roll with that. Okay? All right, thank you. Thank you.